Hi everyone, it's Alisha Brasher here at Cosmic Gateway. I am joined by my beautiful soul sisters. We have Jen from Infused with Light, and we've got Katie Jane from Vibrosound back again. Thank you, girls, and welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
This video, we're going to be talking about a variety of different topics. We just finished and had our last transmission, which was sacred relationship, balance restoration. So thank you, a big, massive thank you for everyone who joined us on that transmission. It really was sort of a next level potent fusion of light language, sound, toning, and guided energy activations. And if you missed out on that, that still is available, and you can jump in and watch the replay or access the downloadable version. And that's sort of how we're doing things with these transmissions, is that they're available ongoing, not just in the energetic portals, but whenever you feel called and guided to. So we have our second February transmission, which is coming up on the 22nd of February. So this is a sort of a two-part series. This one is a shared soul mission transmission that we're doing. And I feel that that's a real big importance for laying down foundations for this year. It's really about working with the energies of divine partnership, sacred partnership, and shared soul mission energy activations. But I think it goes a bit broader than that, in terms of, it really is working with soul family and soul tribe, and calling in, those aspects and elements into whatever you're being called to do on level, on soul mission. And I think that's a big year, or a big calling for a lot of people this year, as we sort of move through 2021 and beyond. You can kind of see the energies at the moment. It's pushing people. I think it goes in waves. I don't know if you guys would agree with me, but I know my process was in 2015, where and I've spoken about this before, where I felt that soul calling, like something massive was coming, and I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was, but I could feel that I was being called to this higher purpose, this higher mission. And I was in a really good point in my life, and I just kept saying, whatever it is, I'm here to serve at the highest level, at the highest capacity. Bring it to me, bring it to me. And it was just this momentum energy and this excitement that was sort of coming to me. And I kept sort of working with that mantra and those energies. And yeah, sure enough, it was coming for me. It did not look however I imagined it. And my whole life the rug got pulled out from underneath me. I lost my job, I lost my money, I lost my family, my home, everything just went, really rapidly. But, in that process, which was very hard, it was very painful. See that it was designed that way. It was that calling that, sometimes it's when the universe plucks you out of the matrix. That's kind of how I see it. And I do think that that is a key theme that's coming up for a lot of people. I know from a lot of clients and people that I've worked with, that they feel that calling coming. So the idea was to put on a transmission to help people work with those energies that are coming in for them individually, however that looks, and really helping energetically anchor and assist and integrate, what that looks like. And in the process, working with energies of calling in the people, places, resources, and things that is going to assist you on that journey. So um let's that's sort of the brief overview, but let's start and talk about the current energies, shall we? Because I know that I know that it's struggle town for most of us right now. We're recording this on Monday the 8th, and we've had a massive influx of solar winds, and we've had Schumann going off, um, and it's been intense, isn't it, ladies? How have you?
I was going to say, I was going so well. I was going so well. So I think most of you who have listened to me, my afflictions are like neck up, my head. I'm ruled by Aries, that's the head, my light language. All my ascension is like jaw, neck, head, blah, blah. I've been doing really good. The last 3 days, I've been in excruciating pain, blurred vision, just like no amount of painkillers, including tramadol and oxys, will get rid of like the headache and the neck pain.
Tramadol's a trip.
Oh, yeah. like light languaging myself, not working. I was like, this is not fun.
It's
And
next
then,
level.
yeah, extreme snaps of rage and irritability that aren't mine. And as soon as I snap, or I'm like, oh, what was that? Like, it's a real, um, I'm super aware of it. Like, as soon as I say it, I'm like, oh, fantastic. Not proud of those moments, but yeah, today I'm kind of also getting like a lot of energy from a lot of other people about heavy topics that are also, if I'm being honest, they're grating me. Like my patience is very, I don't think we're all like love and light. Like, um, yeah, snap, snap, bite might be better, but just, yeah, where I'm at.
Yeah, and you got to honor that, don't you? It's not like it's not
Ah,
always going to be love and
just,
light. It's
yeah,
part of the process to go in those deep dives and those deep places. Yeah.
yeah. And my body really hurts. So I'm not one to really rest. So I'm just like, I'm doing no exercise today and just trying to chill.
I really resonate with what you said, Alisha, at the beginning of like when you're in your journey and you're calling in your soul mission and you're calling in the next phase. I feel like at the beginning of the year, I was really being prepped, and it was like, you're going to step up, you're going to start sharing more, you're going to start doing more. And now I feel like the excitement has kind of worn off, and I'm in that space of like, oh, okay, I'm going to step up, but I'm also going to be a human. I'm also going to deal with friends. I'm also going to deal with being a woman and what that means and growing and changing. And I really feel like my ability to absorb and transmute others' pain has increased. And I feel like I've held, like we've had a few sessions, Alisha, and I feel like I've held a higher light quotient, but that also means that I can transmute more. And
Fun, fun.
down on the Gold Coast on the weekend, showing the sound lounges, and I hung out with my dad and his wife and their kid, and it's fascinating. Uh, I kind of emancipated myself from the family realm like 10 years ago because it was so toxic, and I just got out of there. And it's funny, slowly reintegrating. And my dad had this pain in his arm, and I gave it a massage. And then I woke up the next morning and his pain was gone, and I had the pain in my arm, and my body started doing it. And my stepmom had this pain in her womb, and I woke up and I had the pain in my womb, and my little brother had all of these thoughts, and I woke up with all of these thoughts. So it's like learning what I can take on board, and learning like what an extra added level of self-care is
Mm.
when you're at the boiling point of everyone's mixing pot of stuff, and then keeping your cool. And yet I feel like I'm really busy on the astral. I've started up again. Last night I was doing really intense mission work, really intense.
Yeah.
And I've also been watching a lot of Secret Space program. I don't know, I feel like I've been putting my consciousness in all of these different realms, and
Yeah.
then I come to sit down and do my work, and I'm making all these tracks, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm just splattered everywhere, and I need to really pull it all in and just be like, I need to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally agree with you. It's like the work never stops. What we do in the physical is only a very, very small portion of what we're doing on, the astral realm and other dimensional levels when we're sleeping. So the days that we are super tired, there's a reason for that. We're being called into other spaces to be actioning this work, because it's a 24-hour, process that a lot of us go through. And I know that dream space has been intense for weeks now. Like, every night is either clearing or activating or doing this or working with that person, working with this person. Actually, I went away over the weekend and just need to get out into nature, and it was really beautiful. And I didn't sleep a lot because the energies were sort of coming in and activating, and then like trying to anchor it, and my legs were so sore, the entire, like, my bone, everything was aching in my body. And I know that's when highly charged energy is coming through, and you're being asked to ground it into the earth. And your legs, you feel like you've been like been at the gym, like working hardcore on your leg muscles. And obviously that's not the case. It's not something that I do, but um and I had this dream about, like, you know, merging and connecting with people's energies, and it was setting the Schumann off. And I woke up, and the exact time that I had the dream, the Schumann started going off, and I was like, wow, sinking into that. And, you know, and I, you know, in that, actually, I'll share a little bit of that, because I think that ties into the connections and the soul mission and the purpose, is that when people's energies come together, it does create a ripple effect on the electromagnetics of the planet. So in this dream, I was sort of connecting, working a certain energy space, and it was creating this ripple on the Schumann. And there was this sliding scale, right? It was like sliding scale, and it had 3D, 5D, and I saw the sliding scale, and it got pushed up a notch closer to 5D. It's like, yes, you know. So you know, as the energies rise, it is going to push and contort and purge out whatever isn't in alignment for whatever your soul's calling is. And it doesn't matter whether you've been doing this for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Each calling that we get pushes us into a space of uncomfortability. It pushes us into a space of rawness and vulnerability. And I think that that's a refining and a tuning process for whatever we're being called to in the next phase. We have to go through that. We have to embody that, and we have to release out what's not in alignment to that, whether that be the inner workings of our own emotions, our fears, if it's, you know, jobs, if it's people in our friendship circle, you know, whatever it is that's not in resonance, as harsh as that sounds, we'll get just completely annihilated. So
Like, you can't maintain all of those other things. You can't walk around with those like clamps on you. You just wouldn't go anywhere. There's no other option.
yeah, the only way is up. And and it's like the weights get taken off. And on a human level, that's painful, that's hard, that's confronting, that's safety, you know. That's our comfort zone, what we know. And it's moving into uncharted waters of realms that we don't know, you know, the unknown.
It's like moving up, and it's also moving out. It's like coming next babushka doll I talk about, like with your consciousness expanding, but you're also going higher. So it's like this really like unknown, gross, scary, like low grade anxiety feeling as you expand.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And I think, you know, as we're recording this now, I think the solar wind, as uncomfortable as it is, you know, that is such a cosmic way of helping people assimilate energies. You can see when solar winds come in, that's when the irritability, the tiredness, the crankiness, the anxiety, the looping mental thoughts, all those symptoms come up. It's almost like your energetic body is having like a rattle up and a shake out. So always feel better once we move through it, but during it, it's not comfortable. It's not fun.
If anyone wants to invent like solar wind medication or something, I would be down for that galactic experiment, because solar winds get me every time.
You know what we could do? We could do a transmission track for working with cosmic weather. Oh my God, sorry, we should have this.
All of the planetary
Yeah.
Earth's atmosphere. I've got all of the planetary sounds, so we could make like a balancing of the atmosphere. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah. Goodbye codeine. Hello soundtracks and transmissions.
Oh my God, that's an amazing. See, real life example of when you come together with your soul family and the idea.
Yeah, you think that's a weird idea, but then someone's like, "Oh no, we could do that." You're like, "There you go." Your wish is my command.
Actually, I think we should do that. Yeah, let's put together a cosmic space toolkit for solar flares,
Grounding.
human grounding, and solar. Oh, okay, watch this space, people.
And tectonic earthquake activity, geomagnetic activity.
Yes.
That affects me a lot. Geoenergetic energies.
Yeah, I came across this term a couple of years ago, and it resonated so deeply with me. It was like earth empath.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that a lot of us who are very connected to Gaia feel deeply when she's going through her shifts and changes and purges. And it's like we're working, you know, with her to go through that process. So as she goes through it on a larger scale, individually, we're working the grid systems, we're working the energetics, doing that release work, but also grounding in that higher template, that crystalline grid.
I also read something the other day about asteroid like showers, meteor showers, not asteroid showers, that would be catastrophic, meteor showers and things. Well, somewhere out in the galaxies where that affects a lot of star seeds too, because depending on proximity to your star or like where it is or in the atmosphere, it can really impact you. I've always wondered about that. I do follow like spaceweather.com. Anyone is a really good site to like keep across all that stuff if you are. Yeah, anyway, sidetracking as we do.
Yeah, no, Space Weather's a good resource, and you know, they update almost daily with, you know, planetary alignments, and obviously tracking, you know, solar winds and things like that. And you know, they always predict a few days out when the solar winds are predicted to come in. They don't always arrive, but I would say, you know, 9 times out of 10 they're pretty accurate in their predictions, so you can sort of prepare for that. And I'm excited to make these tracks. So Katie J and I were talking about making, because you've got those planet sounds now, don't you? Yeah. And we were talking about, I'll share this, we'll go off track, but it doesn't matter. We'll just I remember Edgar Casey in one of his, I was doing some research around Edgar Casey a few years back, and he was talking about how the planets affect people based on their sojourn incarnation. So, you know, a lot of starseeds, we sort of jump from planet to planet, have different incarnations on various different planets. And depending on what our relationship has been in, you know, a different lifetime, will be how it affects us when it goes into retrogrades and when it does different. And I know that people are, I'm kind of lucky. I always sort of slide through Mercury retrograde with no issues. But I know that other people are really impacted by things like Mercury retrograde. I mean, I am to a degree with like technology and stuff like that, but not as much as other people. And I think, you know, if you want to like connect in and find out what your, you know, personal connection is with the planet of Mercury, there may be some karma to clear up there, you know what I mean? And so, you know, just pondering on different things like that. And yeah, so I know that I was born during a Saturn retrograde, and in astrological sense, that means that I have to come back and relive some deep past life karmic cycles that haven't been cleared up, which I think is true for most of us. But you know, you would break down, you know, the aspects of the planet and what that planet represents, and that would give you a better indication of what sort of karma you're here to dismantle. So anyway.
And what balances you out? Like I feel really at home and at peace when I'm listening to Venusian frequencies and energies of Venus. And I feel like what you said really resonated of like lots of starseeds have already had a life in that realm once they've like graduated from Earth, and we're just back here now. And it's like true, you can tap into the frequency of whatever whatever planet brings you the most calm, and just like walk around listening to that.
Yes, yeah, because you know, I think that's a big aspect of starseeds on the planet right now, is that we have graduated, and then we volunteered to come back, and then we have our memory wiped for a temporary period of time. But it's because we're bringing those different facets of the greater part of the cosmos and the galaxies into Earth's frequency, or those higher dimensional frequencies. So it's like when we can connect with what we would resonate as a home frequency, it's about embodying that, but bringing it here and, you know, fusing it on this planet so that everyone can be in benefit of that. Have you guys been tapping into like more elemental energies of late? That I know that's been a theme for some people.
Fire.
I feel like they're always there.
Yeah.
Mischievous.
The fairies, the elves.
I've just been playing like because I have like violet flame access, which is a different type of flame, but actual fire, not real tangible fire. But I've been seeing a lot of fire codes and for using fire to remove things from people, which I don't often use, but it's like burning, like back burning kind of, like it'll go through and like obliterate old dead energy.
Mm.
That's funny. I've been thinking about the Bible a lot, which is really weird, and like just like decoding like why people take it so literally. And I like have been, I don't know why I've been reading the Bible. Thinking about how like there's so many aspects where it's like, and the burning bush, and it brought up all of their impurities and it released it from their system. And I was like, it's the mother effing violet flame, bitches. Like, it's not a real fire, it's energy. And thinking about like how fast you can transmute something if you picture yourself standing in a violet flame, and how fast the room changes color, like when you understand how to work with visualization and that energy.
That's amazing. I love that.
Is that what you meant by elemental? Like the elements?
Elements and elementals. So, fairies, elves, like,
oh no, none of
no.
them.
I think that happens when you're out in nature. I've been spending a lot of time sort of out in the wilderness, off and on, being called to different like places. And I know I went out, on a walk not far from my house a few weeks ago, and there was just these little magical pockets of like, kind of Lemurian energies and like seeding that, bringing that back. So that's kind of cool.
I think that shows how tired I am. See, I can't even work out the difference between element and element.
Well, working with both. But I want to bring a question to you guys, to you ladies, I should say, sorry. Working in soul mission and shared soul mission, what does that mean for you, like on your own journey, or what comes to mind when you think about that?
Well, that's a humdinger at the moment, especially if your soul mission with somebody else is currently you're questioning the whole paradigm of that. But I guess that has only reinforced my mission is all the more important, which I guess could look selfish from an ego perspective, but the mission is the mission. And I think, was it Feel Good the other day was saying like ego in 5D is mistaken, no, like integrity in 5D is mistaken as ego here on earth. And like the desire to keep focusing on your mission. So I don't know, with soul, if I'm being brutally honest right now, with soul mission, it's confusing. With joint mission, I feel like perhaps the separation of that means that I have to just forge ahead even stronger than what I was doing, and really up my transmuting and up all my things, and hopefully that brings up the not just one person but other people that I have joint missions with. It's new territory. Like I think it's a new territory that I'm exploring.
And I think you hit on a really key point, because I always think that soul mission, generally speaking, it's something that's activated within the individual to start on their own, and then as they start to sort of find their own feet and find their own path, that's where other people come in to join them, whether it's a divine part or a sacred relationship connection, or whether it's soul tribe integrator. It's establishing your own and going through your own process, and then it's like when you're at that point to create at that next level, that's where people will be situated to come in and play their role.
Because no one can speak my light language, right? Like I'm the only one that can speak. I mean, there might be people who speak similar dialects, but it's mine, and I can't share that with anyone who I might partner with on the journey. So I guess that's been an interesting observation during this time.
Yeah.
I feel like I've stepped completely into every single moment of the day as soul mission. Like I feel like it's interesting to just be like, whoa, everything I do is always like making a sound bath for this or making a track for that. And it's interesting now, like you said at the beginning of the transmission, or even that session we did where my kids were coming through and they're like, don't forget about the mission. And it's like, irregardless of what happens, it's funny coming from this old paradigm perspective that would be like, 80% Katie Jane doing Katie Jane life, and then 20%, oh, do that thing that I meant to be here for. Whereas now it's like 80% I'm doing that thing, and then sometimes I'm like, oh shit, gotta be a human girl, 28, like do the thing. But it's interesting now that I've stepped more into that other realm, like working with you guys, working with Steve. Now this other lady from Canada's reached out. I feel like the Aquarian energy of sharing now has really come, and it's like I feel like I have 5 really talented beings that I now get to work with and expand that across the globe, and it's becoming more global and more like fast spread. So when I do something now, that is also going to be spread a lot further than what I've been used to. So it's
Yeah.
like the same amount of work but a bigger reach, which is really nice.
Oh, it's so interesting. I was just thinking that it's so interesting how everyone's at such different stages. Whereas I felt like I was like that a little bit last year, at the start of last year. Now I've gone completely inward because it's like taking that time to hone the next level of it before I can then go, oh, yep, next mission. Like waiting for my papers, so to speak.
Yeah, pretty much. Actually, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because I was getting these downloads. I've been getting these downloads for about 2 years, right? And I know that sometimes when I get these downloads, it's kind of for years in advance, and I've learned over the years not to take it so literal that it's happening now, or it can be implemented down the chain, but it takes maybe a year or two to catch up in 3D, in physical reality. And I'll never forget seeing like assignment papers being dropped from the cosmos and like floating down, right? And they were being given to counterparts to work on their shared soul mission. But the message that was that it was really important that it came to both of them through consciousness, through energy at the same time. And I remember that was always given around the end of February, and I forgot about that. And that's why we're doing this transmission on the 22nd. So, I mean, obviously that's not just limited to, and I want to make that really clear, that if you're not on a sacred relationship pathway, it doesn't matter. It's basically for anyone who feels that calling. And, there may be someone that you'll partner with, and I think, or many people that you'll partner with in that work, because I think how the process is to me is that when you get to that level of work or calling or embodiment, is you will then start to attract into your reality people that you've already worked on mission with before.
Yeah.
Whether it be off planet, like, I mean, it's pretty clear to me that we've done this, probably not exactly what we're doing now, but we the 3 of us met on Arcturus probably a few times,
In the hallways.
in the and then we chose to come down and find each other and collaborate and bring our unique gifts to bring a blend and fusion to be able to help and act in service. And then same goes for people in sacred partnerships, is that I think that there's a lot of different skills that have been worked on and refined over different incarnations, and then you come back around and you connect again, and then it really heightens and activates those abilities so that you can continue the work this time round together. And I think that's truly what's amazing and important too.
And like with every group of friends, there's always like a really beautiful symbiosis of like the individual, like our collective energy fits this really beautiful mold, and everyone clicks in really well with each other. And then there'd be like a similar pocket of people who's doing guided process energy, light, sound in Colombia, in blah blah, in blah blah, in blah blah. So there's these like pocket groups around the world holding that and spreading that out.
Yeah. And that's what's important right now. I mean, it's always important, but as the continuing process of the dismantling of the old structures is full swing now, in progress. I mean, last year set it all off, and now it's only going to continue. That leaves room for opening and opportunity to be able to start to rebuild new structures in different ways that are going to be conducive to new earth frequencies. And I think that's the individual process too, is that when your life is not matched or aligned with that higher vibration, that happens, it's happening on a global level, but it happens individually too.
I think it's gonna get real ugly.
Yeah.
I keep going into the public and just looking at all of these behaviors that people play out from there. It's just so clear and evident to me, but it's not even 1% in their conscious awareness that that's what's happening. And it's like, man, for you to untangle that, and then it's like it's like a process of untangling it and then sitting in the like plate smashing moment where you have to then re-look at all of your actions and be like, oh shit, and then learning how to heal that trauma, reintegrate, and create a new pathway of being whilst you're having cognitive dissonance. Like just hanging out with my family was just like I actually think it might be better that y'all's just like live out your life and just like start again, go home, and then like it's gonna be nuts. I'm just really coming to that reality where I'm like, oh, Katie, no, you're just different. Like people aren't gonna be smoothly chilling.
So many people, it's challenging. So many people just don't want to ever address it or look at that. So I think something also, if you did have an idea in your head that you were having a joint mission with someone, be it a counterpart or a friend, and it's not working, I wouldn't give up all hope. Maybe it's just not meant to happen now, and you're meant to pivot and do. I feel like a lot of people in our industry, in the industry of light, are pivoting because some things that they thought were tangible and were going to work aren't. So we have to be like, okay, well, where is that needed? And I wouldn't say I've given up, but I have pulled my energies back from the realms of shadows and people because it's such a siphon and a drain on my energy. I feel like that will just naturally occur while we stabilize other aspects of the earth and atmospheres and
yeah,
like adapting your own self and being in control of what you can control, and then with being like, well, surrender, I can't do anything else about any of that.
Yeah, and I think you've both touched on it too, is that next level of energetic sensitivity of people that you are connected with on a soul level. And all you have to do is think about them and you can instantly sort of feel where their process is at. And as that purification or that splitting of the timeline, a lot of people have decided to not action or step up in the realms of what was their original intended purpose. And it doesn't mean that it won't eventuate, or it may, but it may look different. But it's like really being able to hold your own. So like that whole energy hygiene aspect is so important. Like I think I was talking to you, Jen, this morning about like when you feel that energy of someone that's perhaps not in your life anymore, that has played an important part, but you can kind of feel that coming in. My process is now literally I grab them out of my energetic field and throw them as far away as possible.
Whereas my behavior is to block because I just don't want it, but that's not integrating, right? That's still a dismissal of that energy, which is my default, right? That's my program. So I need to learn to be like, how do I manage this and that? And they don't need to go like this. Like,
so true. I feel like I've been tested again and again. Like typically I'm in my own little bubble of like I know who I am, but then I feel like coming out into the public, I'm really being asked to like, someone's gonna throw shade at you. Do you know who you are? And can you because like if you are who you think you are, you're not going to be mad at this person for questioning and judging you. It's like, oh, you just don't know, and that literally doesn't affect me. You don't add or subtract to my worth with anything that you say or do. And that's like such a challenge when like you've either been people pleasing your whole life or you're expected to be this thing, and it's like holding your own and being like, look, I know what I know, like I can't do anything else.
I think that's been a real big theme of like I've heard a lot of people talking about like this whole. I know I always used to joke with Joe around this time. Certainly, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. I'm like, oh, we've entered into projection season here, and you just know when you go out in public, like people's reactions, and you know that that's when a bit of a shake-up's happening. And it's really important to hold your own and know and not take it personal, and see it's like, well, that's where that person's at, that's where they're, that's what's coming up for them, and it can be very easily sort of projected onto you. And if you're not holding your own, you can take that really personally when it's actually got nothing to do with you. And I've found that, I've had a few wobbles of late where I can, people have been a bit snarky or snarly or, whatever. And in that moment where I could have been, and in the past quite reactionary, I've just gone, oh no, it's okay. And like, see them in loving and compassionate eyes, and kind of like, project and beam like sort of love energy to them. And like, I see you, I see your struggle, I see where you're at, and I'm going to love you through that process. It takes,
Hard sometimes.
it is.
Like, not today,
Seeing
not
them with my
today.
lazy dim eyes and make them explode and go away forever.
I know.
And
I
sometimes
swear
that's appropriate too. So, no judgment.
I like said in our session how they were like, if you're feeling shaken by someone else's energy, pull a roller door over your solar plexus.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So that's close for business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think that when I get like that, and I feel like just before I like do a little whoop or next mission, I get all my shadowy aspects and my feral aspects really come into like today is a great example of that. I'm like, yuck, I would not subject my energy on anyone in physical form today, because it's rubbed me the wrong way and everything's coming up. I'm like, oh, okay, like you've made X amount of progress on this, but you still have this. Like, I think as you keep shifting and evolving and seeing different perspectives all the time, then you have to keep meeting your own shadow, kind of like it's always trying to catch you a little bit. So
And coming out of that like linear process, it's like if you're really going to commit to this other way of being, you have to literally let go of like how much I'm going to get done today, how much like I can integrate. It's like sometimes I'm like, what the F, Katie, you have your whole life to do this. What are you trying to make 9 tracks to then go to all the humans by 4 o'clock? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Chill.
100%. And I think when you start working soul mission and like working with integrating those energies, it is such a different process, isn't it? It's not like working a 9 to 5, because you'll have days where you're tapped off and you're tapped out and you're offline, and you'll have those days where you need to rest and recover. And then you'll have those high energy days where you can get like 10 days worth of work all done, boom, boom, boom at once. It's
or like the days we have people like I'll spend hours sometimes trying to explain light language and what it's, and I just, but you have to, because people want to know, right? They need to also know. But some days my energy is just like,
You should make a YouTube video and be like, go watch it on YouTube.
I have, girl.
You think that I didn't think of it?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Aww.
I'm so glad that you tapped into that too, because I think that's one thing that I often taught when I was doing the Light Workers Call to Duty program. When you're being called at that highest level, it will bring up every fear you could possibly think of, conscious, unconscious, known, unknown. Fears that you didn't even realize that you had will stem and hit you in the face. And sometimes it's a slow and gentle process, and sometimes it happens all at once. But it's like when you're being called to be a vessel of high energy embodiment, you will have to go through that deep dive. And I don't think anyone's immune to that. I mean, I've been through it multiple times. The first one was the most brutal, then you kind of get used to it and you're like, oh, here we go again. Next round, ding, ding, ding. And I've been going through that myself, because I'm in this process of creating all this new work and the new website. And it's really called me to step up into being more raw and honest and vulnerable and on every level. And it's taken me, it's been a process that has completely terrified me, but I've known that that's what I have to do each step of the way.
Well, like being able to see someone in a leadership field being super real and being like, hey, I feel like being so honest instead of this like archetype of really well held together, really organized, really professional. like professionalism is good and healthy, but also like sometimes you need to see your people be real, so you can be like, oh my god, take the pressure off yourself, like we're just in this, and you're always going through your own process. Like as a spiritual leader, you don't just be like, I am a leader now. No, you're going through your own shit. So like
100%. And my personal process has been taken um the forefront for me at the moment of what I'm going through on a personal level. And I feel very tapped out of like the collective process at the moment. And I was having this conversation with a beautiful soul sister of mine last night. Whereas, in the past, for the last, however many years, I've been so deeply ingrained with what the collective are going through. And at the moment, I'm so tapped out of that because I'm kind of in this incubation of my own expression. And it's so beautiful that there's other people like Zara at Guidance by Z and Alexis Ascension Diaries and all those amazing light workers who do, it's like we all sort of jump in and pitch in, like someone else can write the energetic, update report, and, I'll get to it when I can. But that's, probably another reason why I haven't written as much, is because it's not that I am not aware of what's going on. I'm very aware of what's going on, but my own inner process has been the most important thing. So,
It is 111.
I just saw that. Like, well,
My
and
phone starts like flashing. I'm like, who is? I'm having one of those days where everyone's just annoying me. I'm like, shh.
some days, those are the days that you need to just switch up your phone and go for a swim in the ocean or walk in
Tomorrow.
I
tomorrow.
do like if we can talk about the future, like I do wonder what the next, like I'm really fascinated as to where it's all going. I kind of feel like I can feel into this one big thing where everything's coming to a big head. Like I feel like I have this big wave and surge, and then it subsides, and then you just go about your day, and then there's this big surge, and you're like, okay, I'm ready. Like what is this? And then it goes shoo.
I keep seeing like bubble gum, like someone stretching out bubble gum, and it's like this in between bit, which I kind of feel like the energy today is like that. It's like some people are just going to stick to that wall, and the other people are going to be like catapulted somewhere else, and it's just the disparity is getting bigger and bigger, like between the two energy that are floating. That's from my linear observations of it. Because we can't, I feel like we can't carry that too much anymore. Like it has to sort of either so that they really feel and experience it. We can't carry that anymore. My bubblegum analogy.
I love that noise.
So what happens in light language, people.
I love that. Yeah, I think the general consensus of the next 3 months is going to be a bit choppy, and a lot of very big change that's going to happen collectively and individually. A lot of changes on the global, we won't go into that because I think we've got a roundtable coming up, so we can go more into that on that when we have the boys on. But I think it's probably preparing a lot of people for when that time comes, to be in their full alignment. So I always see that before there's another mass awakening or something that happens on a big global scale, and I do feel it coming. A lot of people feel like there's going to be some really turbulent waters to cross over the coming few months, first half of this year. And I think those that are maybe going through a really harsh time right now, it's because they're being called to their duties to be prepared and ready to be in working in service in however that looks, whether it's just an energetic thing or where it's an actual sort of, offerings. That's kind of how I see it. And maybe that ties into your bubblegum analogy, Jen, those people that are going to be slingshot and catapulted into where they need to be, while others still in the sticky kind of, yeah.
And I've also been like, and these are just my personal experiences, of course, of like a lot of anger being released, especially up until April. And I was getting angry April, which is distressing because that's our birthday month, for two of us here. And that's because it's anger is often pain, you know, turned inside out. And so people who can't deal with their pain are now shifting into a paradigm of anger because that's more manageable. And we're going to see that play, I believe, that's going to impact a lot of stuff. So April, hey.
I remember this time last year, like we didn't know about COVID really yet, but we all felt something effing. I remember being exactly in this room in February, being like laying on the floor, like looking at the ceiling, being like, "What's happening?"
Yeah.
Boom, like
yeah. And however that's going to look on a global scale, you know, one thing that is very, very prevalent is that everyone can feel it. You know, we may not know how it's going to exactly unfold, but we can feel that something's coming. And it's, you know, I think that, you know, a lot of people get prepared on a physical level, whether it's supplies and, you know, water and food and, you know, money and that. And yeah, you know, I think if you're guided to do those sorts of things, absolutely trust your instincts and guide it. But I think the best way that we can be prepared is, you know, energetically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually as well.
about the food aspect. I never have enough food for tomorrow, let alone like I really need to sort that out.
Hopefully we work out how to be like someone who just lives off their breath.
Well,
eat light.
I know that I haven't had a need or desire for food for the last couple of days, you know.
Opposite.
To a vegetarian.
Yeah, no, I'm the opposite. Like, eat everything-itarian.
Eat everything. So if you feel that call, if you feel like you're one of those people that are being catapulted to the next level of your journey and you would like some support and join us on a transmission, they're amazing. I think it's really kind of next level in the fusion and collaboration of what the three of us bring. You can sign up, you can join us live. It will be on the 22nd of February at 7 p.m. Melbourne. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and of course available on the replay. So once the transmission has gone through, then we make a track that is the fusion of the music that Katie prepares specially for that, and then we blend through the live transmission. So it's a downloadable version that you can work with and play ongoing, and it's yeah, very much focused on, you know, getting into that alignment and getting clear on it, you know, breaking down any energetic barriers that are holding you back, and you know, getting out there and shining your light and being who you've always, you know, who you've been all along, you know, stripping back some of that human aspect of conditioning, of limitations, and allowing you to step into all your beauty and glory and be in service for the other humans who will need you very soon.
I feel like with those transmissions, there really is a space and a pocket in space and time for you to be able to access those. Like that base chakra transmission that I did is still having an effect like 2 weeks on, you know. So it's like I really do see it being more of a guided space where humans now have the ability, and especially moving galactically, it's like connecting in with the beings that can like just help you then and there, and connecting in with the energy of that, and then being able to do it alone, not more.
And, yeah, it will always match where you're at. It's never going to, like, you might be like, don't get into the trap of comparing, because it's what it might do for Alisha. It's completely different what it will do for me and what it will do for Katie. So it just trust that it's doing what it needs to do for where you're at.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you for coming on. I know that today's a bit of a grueling day, but it's so lovely to see your beautiful faces and to have this chat. And thank you everyone for watching. And if you feel called and guided to join us on the transmission, all the details will be in the description box below. And of course, if you need additional support, the three of us do individual personalized sessions, so you'll be able to find those details in the description box below as well. And until next time, just keep doing what you feel guided to do, and sending so much love and compassion wherever you're at on your journey right now. And we'll see you soon. Bye.